Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips. Welcome to DHTV. I've got two great guests with me today, and we're going to be talking about embracing change and navigating the future of AI with HP and NVIDIA. And to do that, I've got Spencer Wilson. He's the HPI AI DS Channel Development Manager. Spencer, how's it going?
Good. How are you doing today, Chris? Thank you in the
Hey,
audience for allowing. I'm sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
go ahead. No,
I was
yeah.
going to say thank you in the audience for this time today. We very much appreciate it.
I was just going to say the first day back after Labor Day is always kind of a bittersweet day because it's the end of summer and all the kids are in school now, and it's kind of like a trudge to the fall. But I'm glad to be here with you guys today talking about this great topic. We also have Nina from NVIDIA. She's the OEM sales manager. Nina, how's it going?
Hey, good afternoon. Hey, guys. Thanks for having us here today.
Yep. Before we begin, I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping for those of you who have never joined us before. We'll be taking questions throughout the entire presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them into our question box. I just highlighted it for you. You might have to maximize it. It's on the bottom middle of the screen. You can ask a question. We also do have resources. It's a link to the D&H mini site for HP. If you're watching this on demand, there might be additional resources pertinent to questions that were answered throughout this presentation as well. But to kick things off, I'm going to throw it over to Spencer, and we'll get started. Spencer, how's it going?
Good, Chris. Again, thank you for the opportunity, and look forward to this conversation. The customers we're talking today already have some familiarity with AI. You're seeing them talk about LLMs, things like ChatGPT, one of my favorites, Perplexity, or seeing images created by Midjourney. They're also seeing a lot of quotes out there with large corporations joining the AI band. Some of the biggest companies there are doing that today, from Amazon, the Washington Post, Forbes, The Guardian. What is AI? For us, it's American Airlines with NVIDIA using an HP workstation and data science to better manage their variable cargo shipments, improve weight distribution, and save fuel. Really, it's about efficiencies. Another one would be Hendrix Motorsports. They discovered that they saved 1.5 seconds by bringing a AI workstation down into the pit, along with one of our laptops, one of our Zero Furies. With that, instead of going to the cloud where it costs them around 1.5 seconds, with racing, 1 second is 100 yards. By going to the Z8 Fury with the NVIDIA GPUs, and again, one of our mobile devices, the Z8 Fury, they were able to save that time. And then NASA, they're using a Z8 G4 to normalize in space and map the universe, actually going out there and finding where things are at. What is AI? Let's take a great example. One of our success stories, Delphor Flowers. They are one of the largest in the Netherlands, are responsible for over 40% of the chrysanthemum cuts, flowers. That generates 57.4 billion annually. That's a lot of chrysanthemums. I'm part of that 57.4 billion. As I plant flowers, I'm just about to go to my mom's as we get to the fall. The challenge, accurately predict bloom cycles. So when they'll happen, so we can grow more flowers or chrysanthemums. That's the challenge. Prior to HP, Delphor's team would run image analysis on a dated server. Each time they wanted to try something new, the model would take 45 minutes to run, kind of like you see this happening here. By moving to a Z by HP with NVIDIA GPUs, their flower distribution, they're able to predict their flowers, runs in just a few minutes, easily 6 times faster than what they had before. So it really comes down to 3 components of AI systems. You've got the model, data, and compute. Together, in the right way, you generate insights that help you improve your business. The way to imagine these components is like putting together a factory. In this analogy, the factory is going to be the fabricating machine. And what we do is we feed it raw materials to create product. We need to have electricity for compute to do that. And then we come out with our insight. Data growth worldwide from 2010 to 225 is instrumental. In 2010, we were at 2 zettabytes. That's data growth. In 2020, we're at 64 zettabytes. In 2025, we're predicted to go to 280 zettabytes. I'm sorry, 181 zettabytes. One of the issues is unstructured data. We have a very interesting opportunity because the way data is generated, the storage has increased at least 15 times a year. Further adding the complexity is the fact that around 80%, again, is unstructured, making it very difficult for AI to process. So with all those extra raw materials, how does our factory operate? We need to catch up the compute with the data. While data generation's ramped up, computer resources have remained relatively stagnant. In other words, we're not able to keep up with the zettabytes that are growing. This means the system is producing insights that we would expect given the immense growth of data. That's not acceptable in a world where computers are using AI. So how do we process this volume? We add extra compute. And that allows us to come up with one flow. In other words, we need to find a way to better process data and prioritize our compute resources. And really it comes down to speed, spend, and security. With workstations, the pro is physical environment, they're fixed cost. They're in the environment, no limited data. The con, computing power with the edge, data security, it's low latency. One of the cons is physical environmental limitations and bandwidth, and then there's cloud. Powerful, however, with the cloud, when you talk to AI analysts as data scientists, it becomes very expensive to use compute in the cloud. That's why there's a huge advantage going back to the workstation and doing some of those jobs on the workstations at a fixed cost. In other words, I'll go through a process with my data on the cloud and find out later on, we're being a data scientist, that it actually didn't work. We're better off actually doing that practice or being a data scientist on the workstation, and then we have the final process take it to the cloud. It's kind of like an and/or. So as you can see, you have your workstation, your data, your cloud. It's hybrid computing. Again, it's really an and/or solution. For my fixed cost or for doing my work, I can do that on a local workstation with NVIDIA GPUs. I can also use Edge. And then when I have the completed LLM or my Gen AI ready, I can put it up into the cloud. A customized hybrid compute network needs to take your workflows into account. Your project may be more intensive, GPU intensive, or memory intensive. Thankfully, HP brings you the largest portfolio of AI PCs and notebooks. As you can see with our notebooks, the ZBook Fury all the way to the right, large database, that's actually what they use in Hendrix Motorsports, all the way down to the ZBook Firefly for data. Across the way, you'll see model building, large language interfacing, and machine language and large language workarounds. The Z by HP desktop workstation portfolio starts at the right with a Z8 Fury. That'll take up to 4 NVIDIA GPUs. Has the power to be added on to with memory as well as hard drive as we go. You have the Z4 G5 all the way to rack mounts. You'll see a lot of our customers today with some of our other offerings such as HP Anywhere will use a rack mount or go funnel in to their desktop PCs to do their work from a chairlift in Colorado. Putting the pieces together, HP has come up with what we call AI Studio. It gives you the ability to connect people, data, tools into one place, which results in accelerating your model development. This is a software for data scientists. You're able to centralize for location by users, teams, and data. You're able to collaborate and accelerate. Right now, today, there's rapid acceleration. You have to have project management with account management. As you can see here with the project management, you see to the left, we have our different projects. On the right, we're able to list through your administrative rights those team members that will have access to the project, where they're at in the project, and where they're going to be with completion. Really what that comes down to is a great project management tool. AI Studio today is in beta. We look forward to getting this to the market in the next, very soon. Expect to have it this fall. We want to make sure it's good, right for everybody to work with. What it does give you with AI Studio is a shared workspace, again, managed data access, and the ability to add team members. I'll give you a great example. We're talking to an NFL franchise right now. One of the issues they have today is their offensive coordinator will have their data, the defensive coordinator will have their data, ownership will have their data. They don't really have a way to share the data. They are actually one of our testers with AI Studio, and they're ecstatic. They can share data, compare notes, actually get on team calls and talk about what's going on out there with the offenses, defenses. And then the ownership's able to see the stats, ads, perceived value, things of that nature. AI Studio brings all that together in one place. It has powerful analysis tools. You're able to see, again, where the project's at. Is somebody falling behind? Are they ahead? Most important, oops, sorry about that, folks. My slide's clicking through a little bit quick. It brings together the ability to centralize, collaborate, and accelerate. The other thing I would like to add to that is it allows you to not have to run into refactoring. When you have all these different softwares that have created the data over years, AI has been out there longer than folks think. There are a lot of software packages that have been developing things with different drivers. With AI Studio, instead of having to refactor and bring all those to the current version, AI Studio does that for you. Z by HP has identified solutions for your data science need. Workflow-based configurations. Try before you buy. Please reach out to your D&H rep. We'll make sure you get the right configuration, and we'd actually encourage you to try it before you buy it. And then with our specialists and our data science BDMs, we're going to stay in touch with you during the whole process to make sure that your experience is what we'd expect it to be. Thank you for your time today. Very much appreciate it. I'm going to hand it over to Nina.
Thanks, Spencer. All right, so on to the NVIDIA portion. So as mentioned, I am the North America Sales Alliance Manager supporting HPI over here at NVIDIA. And we're going to talk about, again, kind of the concept of AI workstations, who's using these types of devices, and with the emergence of Gen AI, kind of where this all fits in. So just to do a quick overview, so NVIDIA is an accelerated computing platform company. Hopefully all of you are familiar with NVIDIA. We've been in the news a lot over the last couple of years with the massive growth that we've seen. I see lots of thumbs up, so that's a good sign. The company was founded in 1993 by our current CEO, Jensen Huang. We really started as a gaming company, but the fundamental goal of NVIDIA and what we do is accelerated computing. So Jensen always says, he wants to take on the world's most complex problems and be able to solve those with accelerated compute. When you think about what NVIDIA does and how it enhances workstations, it's really like a supercharger for your workstation. I need to do a lot of really complex computing tasks, things like AI or data science, a normal PC can't handle this. So this is really where the workstation comes into place here. We are obviously growing at a very, very rapid pace. We're maybe not today, there was a bit of a crash, but around a $3 trillion market cap. So we're now one of the third largest companies on the planet. And really it's because we have invested over the last 20 years on being able to be the fundamental foundation of what AI is built on. So when you think about like NVIDIA is really the plumbing for all AI workflows that are happening today. The NVIDIA RTX platform. So this platform has been in development for 20 years. This isn't a new thing that NVIDIA just came up with. So we have several different types of GPU deployments. We have embedded in things like robotics or autonomous vehicles. As it relates to HP, what we're talking about today is really in the laptop and desktop space, but we do also have our GPUs deployed in data centers and clouds as well. Really kind of the secret sauce of what makes NVIDIA so different in the market is this 20 years of software development. So things like APIs, frameworks, SDKs that allow this massive network of developers to be able to build their applications to be GPU accelerated. So a lot of applications that customers use are CPU only. To be able to take advantage of the GPU accelerated compute, you need all of this complex software to be able to do that. Again, this has been in development for over 20 years. All of these software developers are just have grown up and are working on this platform. It's easy to use. It's easy to accelerate these applications. We're working with lots of different ISV companies out there to develop software that's used in things like manufacturing, media and entertainment, architecture, energy, all of these traditional types of workstation workflows. Just a really quick fundamental rewind here, and I always like this just to keep things straight in my mind. So what is GPU compute versus CPU compute? So when we think about CPUs, right, every PC is going to have a CPU. A GPU does not replace a CPU. A CPU is very, very good at executing linear workflows. So it's a form of serial computing. I have to do one thing before I can move on to the next. So if we think about this in a pizza delivery example, I'm this delivery guy. I have 10 houses to deliver these to. I have to go to one house before I go to the next house. And by the time I get to that 10th house, that pizza might be a little bit cold. It's not the freshest pizza here. So when we think about CPU delivery, one thing has to happen before the next. When we're talking about GPU compute, GPUs have the capabilities to do parallel computing. So we can do lots of different things at one time. And if you think of it as a shotgun approach, so now I'm able to deliver these pizzas with lots of different cores to every single house at the same time. So you can see that's accelerating this pizza delivery workflow, right? Again, it's just a very simple kind of silly example, but it helps frame your mind around, you know, when there's trillions and trillions of mathematic calculations that need to be done, to have to do them one at a time is going to take a really, really long time. This is where GPUs come into play in these workstation systems for people that are doing these really heavy, complex tasks and need more compute. So there is a growing demand for high performance capabilities just about everywhere. So the introduction of generative AI, more traditional workflows like real-time ray tracing, we're able to create these realistic images on our computers without having to generate them in real life, right? So real-time ray tracing, being able to see those exact lighting and shadows as if they were to happen in real life. Rendering, simulations, same, right? Like companies that are designing cars or designing airplanes, simulations are super, super important. They require a lot of compute and they save a lot of money too. So these users that are using this type of compute are really pushed to the workstation class system. A lot of those are more traditional type of workflows, right? Like when we talk about rendering, simulation, what we're going to focus more on today is really in the generative AI space. So
real quick,
just
Nina,
real quick. Sure.
There was a question that came in that was pertinent to your pizza analogy there, and I really like that one because it really does show what a GPU and how a GPU operates different than a CPU. Mark wanted to know, with that in mind, will GPUs ever take the place of CPUs?
No. They each kind of have their own function, right? So when you're running really heavy things like your operating system or certain applications require that CPU. And that's the same in data centers as well, right? So there's always going to be a CPU component of the computing device. But no, a GPU is just going to always help to enhance and accelerate that
Is it
that
fair
workflow.
to, I'll defer to you as the expert. Is it fair to say that a GPU can do 10 pizzas out to 10 houses real quick, but it can't carry 2 pizzas at once? It can only carry one, whereas that CPU can do larger work tasks in a linear fashion. Is that a fair analogy still?
I don't know if that's the right analogy. So just
Okay.
it's more like, can I do one thing at the same time before I can go on to the next task? Or can I do a whole so and if we think about it, like CPUs have at the most maybe like 60 computing cores, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where our highest end 6000 class desktop GPU has over 10,000 computing cores. So when you think about it in the context of that, like the capabilities to process tons and tons of information is incredible. So we'll kind of go into this, but in some of the new desk side workstation, the Z8 Fury, for instance, for the first time, the OEMs have these desktops that can fit 4 6000 class GPUs. Each has 10,000 computing cores, each has 48 gigs of memory. So you can take on really, really massive types of workflows.
All right. Great question, Mark. Thank you.
Yes, that's a very good question. So NVIDIA RTX accelerates a wide range of AI workflows. So obviously, we're going to focus again more on some of the AI piece, but again, AI is not new to NVIDIA. We have had AI-enabled GPUs since 2018, since the introduction of our NVIDIA RTX professional GPUs. We're going to kind of dip into AI for workstation here too. So AI through the eras, right? AI is not a new concept. It's been around since the 1950s. Machine learning was introduced in the 80s. Deep learning, 2010s, and then the latest and greatest is generative AI. Why is everybody freaking out about generative AI? What does it mean? I think the big kind of shift in time was when ChatGPT was released at the end of 2022. It was this new concept, and it was the fastest adopted application of all time. So generative AI is different because you are training models, which are like these little brains to know everything. And based off of what they've been taught, they can generate new information for you. Not something that they've just been told and they're regurgitating it, but it can now think like your brain and spit out answers or images or do different types of medical workflows, right? And be able to create new proteins off of things that it's been taught. So that's really where it's so different. It's not just retrieving information that it's been taught, it's able to reason and think more like a brain. And so this is really what kind of caused this explosion of this great market opportunity that we have now. So it's gone from research to production in 5 years, which is absolutely crazy, right? So there's different types of generative AI. So when we think of text to text, that's more of your traditional like ChatGPT or Perplexity type of LLM. So I type in, write me a history paper on the Civil War in 2 pages, and it spits it out. That's text to text. There's also text to image tools, right? So like Stable Diffusion or Midjourney. Type in a text that says, show me a picture of a rainbow cat with smoke in the background. And it pops up this image. It did not go out to the web and look for an image of this cat. It created this image based on everything it's been taught about smoke and rainbows and cats that's ever been taught. And so it's able to generate these images. We also have image to image, so tools like Adobe Photoshop, generative fill, that allow you to simply type in a text and then be able to see like a different background right there. A lot of you, and I know we put it in the chat, and I wasn't able to go in and view those results, but a lot of you might not know that you're already using these generative AI tools today, these large language models. If you have Facebook or you have Instagram, the little search feature in your phone, it doesn't just say search anymore. It says search or ask me a question. So I can go into Facebook and say, write me, you guys can try this, write me a history paper on the Civil War in 2 pages. And now the Llama model from Meta is embedded in Facebook, and it can now write your history paper for you, like ChatGPT. In Amazon, search or ask me a question. I think it's called Amazon. I can't remember the name of their AI bot, but they just came out with it like before Prime Day. So now you can like talk to Amazon and ask it questions instead of just searching for things. So these generative AI features are being plugged into all of these applications that we're using today, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, Amazon's one of the ones I've noticed on Amazon is looking at all the reviews and then just giving you a paragraph at the top going, here's the
Exactly.
summary of all the reviews for this
Summarization.
product. Beautiful.
Absolutely. Yes,
Great
it's great.
stuff.
I don't want
Yeah.
to read through all.
Yeah.
So yeah, so generative AI adoption across many different industries. So in finance, things like fraud detection, personalized banking, investment insights, like Bloomberg GPT is really cool. If you have time to just Google that or ask ChatGPT what it is, it's very, very neat. Things like healthcare, so being able to do molecular simulation, drug discovery, also obviously a really huge, incredible space where generative AI is being used. Retail, shoot, it skipped ahead here. Oops. My slides are going wonky here. Retail, right? So personalized shopping, automated catalog descriptions, and automatic price optimization that a lot of companies are starting to implement. Telco, I won't read all of these to you, but there's lots of different things. Manufacturing, right? Factory simulations, product design, predictive maintenance. There's all of these incredible new use cases for generative AI across all of these different industries. And companies are investing massively in this right now. Every company is getting a generative AI strategy in place if they don't already have one. So again, just to back up real quick. So generative AI is enabled by large language models. So you hear LLMs all the time. That stands for large language models. So an example, ChatGPT, right? ChatGPT is an LLM. It's a large language model. It was trained on massive data sets, petabytes of data, tons and tons of data. If you think of like everything that's ever been on the internet ever to exist, it took 10,000 plus GPUs in a data center to train OpenAI's ChatGPT. It cost over $100 million. And it took over a month, several months to be able to train the AI. So you might think, hearing all of this, so where does a workstation come into play for AI? Like, there's no way that a workstation can handle something like this. So most companies are not investing hundreds of millions of dollars to create their own large language models. There's lots of different large language models that are being created all the time. There's a lot of open source on tools like Hugging Face. A lot of companies are coming out with their own large language models. So when you think about Meta, they have several different llama models. NVIDIA, we create our own large language models. And so companies are able to take pre-trained models and customize them for their internal use. And this is really where we can start using workstations. Not all LLMs are created equal. Some LLMs are humongous, massive, like ChatGPT. The size of that LLM will never ever fit on a workstation. There are different size large language models out there that will fit on an LLM and that customers can use for more specific use cases in their organizations. And we'll kind of go into some of those here. So we're able to refine the generative AI output to be relevant to my company and what I want to do. We'll be covering private RAG LLM implementations, lots of different acronyms for you guys to learn. We'll go over this a little bit too. So all that to say, it's a really big new opportunity for workstations. For companies that aren't, the Fortune 100, they're trying to figure out how to implement these generative AI tools in their companies. A workstation is a really great device to get started to kind of figure out how they're going to do that. So NVIDIA RTX AI-powered workstations, these are really the key workloads. We're going to be covering the top two today. So AI training and development. So again, trained AI models are a snapshot in time. So we'll just use ChatGPT because it's an easy one to talk about. We know that, right? So ChatGPT was trained for those, we'll say 9 months, and it was trained on all of the data that it was fed. But as soon as it stops learning, it doesn't know anything after that cutoff date. So once that large language model is done training, it doesn't know anything else. So if I finish training it at the end of 2023, and I go and ask my LLM who won the Super Bowl in 2024, it would just say, I don't know, or it would make something up. And they call that hallucinating, right? So that's not that useful if I want to be able to teach it something personal to my company or keep it up to date with the most relevant information. And there's a few different ways that we can do that. So on a workstation, we're able to do AI model fine tuning. So again, if we have a large language model that's the right size, that's able to fit on a workstation system. Again, we have workstations that are capable of holding up to 4 48 gig, 6,000 class GPUs. So you can put good sized large language models on those devices. And we're now able to retrain a pre-trained model with new data that matters to my company. So this is just kind of a silly example, but I take a large language model and I say, create a picture of Toy Jensen in space. So Toy Jensen is our CEO, right? This is his little toy avatar. But my model that I'm using has no idea who he is. So when I ask this prompt, these are the initial results. So it's just like, you know, Chris Hemsworth in space, and nobody knows that that's Toy Jensen. Once I fine tune that model with 8 different images, I ask it the same question. And I'm like, okay, that looks more like Toy Jensen in space. I'm now going to fine tune that model with 50 images, and we ask it again. And now you can see that that image on the right looks a lot more like Toy Jensen because this model is learning more specific data to our company. So you can think this can be applied to all different verticals, all different types of company to be relevant to how their marketing campaigns look, you know, or however their kind of their corporate language and speak, right? So HP, the really key pillars of HP are sustainability, security, those types of things. We want that model to have kind of that feel baked into that, into what it's known, so it can speak like somebody at HP. Another cool way to make these pre-trained large language models relevant to what a company is doing is with retrieval augmented generation. So this is also referred to as RAG. So what if we were able to give that trained model a domain-specific database with current information to help enhance its response? So this is a RAG LLM. So you guys work with lots of different vendors, right? And there's lots of different products. If you were able to have a chatbot, like your own little chat GPT, for your company to be able to ask it questions about everything that you're selling. How much memory does this laptop go up to? What is the battery life? Any type of, anything that's on a data sheet or a quick spec. If we're able to create a repository of that domain specific information, we can now use that large language model to help us be more productive in our jobs, right? Because at the end of the day, the reason all of this is being implemented is to make people more productive and to really help them accelerate whichever workflows that they're doing. So this is retrieval augmented generation. It's a very, very cool tool. If you're able to scan this here, we have a tool, a demo tool called Chat RTX. Chat RTX allows you to run a customized large language model on your workstation. There is a requirement of up to, or you need 16 gigs of GPU memory for this to be able to run smoothly on your system. But you can go in and pick an AI model. It will have the models that are right-sized for a workstation. And then you can upload your document database so that the LLM will now talk to those documents. And if you go in and ask it who won the Super Bowl and it doesn't know, well, now all of a sudden I've added all of that information in here. Now you're able to talk to it with relevant information. So this is a really powerful tool to be able to show customers the possibility of, you know, and the benefits of having a customized chatbot for your company or for your organization. Most companies are not just going to have one giant one for everybody to use. It's going to be certain departments. Marketing gets one, sales gets one. All of these different organizations throughout the company will be able to benefit in this type of technology in different ways. Okay, we're going to jump over to AI inference and AI augmented applications. When I say AI inference, I feel like I didn't always know what that meant. And so just to kind of simplify it down, and whenever you hear the word inference, it's really just whatever a large language model spits out to you. So whatever you've typed in, you've asked it a question and it spits it out, that's inferencing. And it's talked about in lots of different ways here. But this slide goes to show that AI is already embedded in our applications, right? So things like Zoom, virtual backgrounds types of things, Siri, Alexa, all the things we use, Teams. Also those ISVs that we talked about at the beginning, right? Like we think about Adobe or DaVinci Resolve, Adobe Photoshop, like these different types of applications that we're using already have AI features infused in them. More and more of these applications are going to have generative AI built into them. So I'm using you know, Autodesk, for example, some sort of, I'm an engineer and I'm designing something. in the next few years, generative AI will be incorporated into these applications to where you can almost use it like a chatbot, right? So I'm trying to pull in images for a car that I'm building, add in red leather seats, and it's able to do that within your design application. There's really, really cool use cases for this. All that to say, the more cool stuff that we're doing with generative AI within these applications is going to require more compute. This is really what's pushing people to these higher end workstation systems for both mobile and for desktop. So as these tools start to get incorporated, we're going to need more compute to be able to do them. It's that same story, right? I need a workstation because I'm running software that requires a GPU so that it works really well and it works really fast. Okay, so again, AI augmented workflows are becoming more and more demanding. This is kind of what I was talking about before, things like content creation, productivity applications like chatbots, like we were talking about, research and development, and then of course, design workflows, which is kind of like the core competency of NVIDIA, where we've been for a long time in the design space. So again, hybrid compute, right? Spencer touched on this. This is how we see the AI accelerator landscape. So it's really a combination of these three. Customers aren't going to be doing just this one or just that one or just the other one. It's really going to be all of these three different workflows kind of combined together. So if I'm creating and training a really huge large language model like ChatGPT, I have to have heavy AI. I have to have cloud compute, GPU compute in the cloud. So there are going to be users that are always going to need those types of really heavy AI. But again, those are very expensive. Those resources are hard to access, but there is always going to be a need for that. And as we deploy AI tools to larger groups, that's going to have to be done in the data center or the cloud. Really where we're focused is in the workstation AI space. So really when we think of workstations, we're going to need the CPU, right? Because it's obviously a necessity, but we also need more power to be able to take on these AI development workflows. When we're taking these large language models and customizing them and figuring out how to deploy them to our teams, a workstation is a perfect sandbox to do that. It's a fixed cost on-prem solution that customers can start on-ramping their generative AI workflows on. Again, they can do this today in the cloud, but it's very expensive. But so like Spencer was saying, if I'm messing around with a project and trying to figure out a chatbot, and I've worked on it for 2 weeks and realized it's not going to work, I've just wasted all of that money in the cloud. And it's super expensive, and then I have to start over. Data scientists, AI developers, software developers are very cognizant about how much time they're spending in the cloud. So AI workstations are a really great space to be able to do this type of work. You guys are also probably hearing a lot about NPUs, right? And PCs. So when you hear the term AI PC, it's really more for your knowledge-based workers, right? So somebody who's maybe just using Office 365 for most of their workday. Like myself, I could probably get by with just a Copilot PC with an NPU to be able to run Microsoft Copilot. Copilot today is a CPU-only feature. We don't know, someday, hopefully, it will be GPU accelerated. That would make a whole lot of sense for us. But really, as users want to do more complex things, you have to have a GPU in addition to your NPU. We think of NPU like it's like a Diet Coke for AI. So you can do a little bit of what you need to on an NPU, but if you're really serious about doing more AI development workflows, it's going to bump you up to a workstation class system. Okay, so just a quick overview of the HPZ workstations for AI. On the left-hand side, and we'll be sharing out this deck, these are really the recommended configurations for things like AI training, tuning, and refining, model exploration, and data science. And then on the right-hand side, when we think about more AI-enabled applications and for inferencing, right? So I'm running an application like DaVinci Resolve, for example, and I want to run it on my workstation and take advantage of those AI features, I'm still going to need to have a pretty powerful workstation system to do that. So really kind of basic, medium, and large workloads, depending on what you're doing, it'll kind of, there is a solution for, sorry, I don't know why my slides are skipping ahead here, but there is a broad portfolio from HP to be able to pick the right device here. So again, HP, quick commercial here. Obviously, the industry's most comprehensive workstation solution for AI development. There's some cool tools. Oh, actually, let me go over this slide real quick. So this is a lot of words on a slide, but just to, sorry. Okay. So when we think about NVIDIA RTX powered workstations, it's really like a Swiss Army knife for a single compute device that can do lots of cool different things. We have our traditional workstation workflows for, engineers or people that are doing media and entertainment sort of creative development, things like simulations, right, that are super important. But now we have AI workflows that also take advantage of this accelerated compute that we can only get on a workstation class system. We can now do private LLMs. We can make them relevant to our company's information. All of this can be done on your actual workstation in front of you, which is really, really revolutionary and a great new opportunity for us to sell more of these high-end workstations. There's some really great tools. If you guys aren't familiar, the Z by HP landing site, you're able to search by job type, workflow, software packages to kind of figure out what your customer's doing, right? And within that industry, what tools you're using, and it'll spit out a really cool recommendation on which HPZ workstation that you can position. We also have some great tools from NVIDIA on our landing page that will kind of show you some based on what application that you're using, the recommended GPU for both desktop and mobile. Won't go through all of these. Actually, this is a handy one. This is a HP Graphics Quick Reference Guide. This will show you which GPUs are available by desktop and workstation systems. And this is updated by HP. I think we're at the end here. I don't know if there are any additional questions. I know this is a lot to digest. I hope this was helpful. I don't know if you guys have any questions for Spencer or myself.
There's a couple of additional questions. We'll run through those real quick. And if you guys have any more questions as we go through those, we'll go ahead and answer them after we kind of run through these. The first one was from Oscar. I think he was referring to the RTX chat software. Is it possible to connect my SharePoint and let it access all my files, emails, etc., so I can ask it related to my own stuff?
So you need to upload the documents in that vector database in Chat RTX, and it will have you upload those specific documents there. As far as like being able to like talk to your inbox now, like I know we've deployed Microsoft Copilot, and I'm able to talk to my emails now. But that's if you have the license to use Copilot like that. But it can't do your emails, sorry.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that compute is still happening within the cloud.
Correct.
For Copilot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, so Copilot is not running locally on your system. So I think Microsoft is saying you need 40 TOPS to be able to run Copilot locally on your system. No NPU that's out there today has that many TOPS to be able to support Copilot locally. So that's still being used in the cloud.
That makes sense.
So if you had an HP ZBook Firefly, for instance, with an A500 entry-level GPU, it has 125 TOPS. So it does have enough power to be able to run Copilot if it were to take advantage of the GPU. So it's just kind of an example of the compute.
Just for everybody out there, when we say TOPS, that's trillions of operations per second.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually gonna bridge over to a question Cody had. Its face value seems a little cynical, but I think the answer is actually worth talking about. Is there actually anything new here, or is this just renaming computers as AI computers and pairing them with a GPU? What is actually new?
So,
Nina, do you want to go first, or I'll let you go?
Yeah, I think you both have good answers. We'll have good answers.
Yeah. So generative AI is new, right? Like customers are trying to figure out how to implement this technology within their workflows. In the past, there have not been workstation PCs powerful enough to be able to, do the type of AI development workflow. Like the last generation of PCs, we couldn't have fit a large language model on those workstations to be able to do things like fine tuning and deploying these out to your end users, right? Like this is a new technology that, again, it was introduced in late 2022 to the world. So customers are trying to figure out, what the heck is it? And now this past year, they're really investing tons and tons of money on being able to figure out how they're going to implement this within their organization. AI is not new. You're absolutely right, right? Generative AI is the new technology, and that's what's driving a lot of massive spend within organizations.
Thank you, Nina. What I would add to that, efficiencies, businesses driving efficiencies is not new. The amount of data that is exploding is absolutely new. Everywhere you go, it's data, and as I talked about in my slide set, the zettabytes, and that's going to even continue to grow. 80% of the corporations, mid-market and enterprise, are going to have some type of Gen AI, as Nina had explained. That becomes an efficiency. So as we talked about Delphor Flowers, that's an efficiency. On the HP side, we're driving the hardware side with NVIDIA in our partnership in the alliance to be able to handle that data with the 4 GPUs inside of Z8 Fury. Whereas before, you would do that up in the cloud, the Hendrix Motorsport example. So efficiencies are not new. It's how we're driving them. And you have the compute power in a hybrid environment to be able to hit those outcome-based solutions we're talking to our customers about.
Yeah. From a personal standpoint, just kind of sitting back and looking at the landscape of technology over the last 5 years, you've seen kind of GPUs go from just being that thing you needed to add to your computer if you wanted to play games, to being that thing you added to your computer if you wanted to mine Bitcoin, to now software developers and developers in general taking advantage of the actual compute within the GPU to execute these AI software. And what will continue to happen over the next 5-10 years is that software will continue to become more and more sophisticated, and will need more of those resources from a GPU that has the ability to have upwards of 1,400 TOPS right on the system. And that's going to be something that revolutionizes and changes the game. I think of it very much as the way of when CPUs went from single core to a dual core. That was a great change to CPUs, but the software didn't catch up to it for years. It took time. We're in that point right now where we have the hardware in place now, and the software's coming. So
we most certainly have the software as well.
Yeah,
that's a separate training. But I think a lot of. Oh, sorry.
When I say that the software is coming, it's still challenging, and I'm speaking from the D&H reseller point of view because I speak to our resellers all the time. It's still challenging for our resellers to figure out what's the easiest way to train a model right now that we can do with not having a lot of the knowledge. There's going to be better, more efficient ways to create models for these users in the coming months, not years. And that's what I'm talking about when the software is coming.
Yep.
I will agree with you. In large, there's a ton of AI software out there to use.
Yeah.
Well, NVIDIA has an extensive software platform specifically for enterprise deployments as well. So again, the software is a big piece of it, right? And it needs to be reliable and it needs to be supported. I think you had mentioned some of the like gaming or Bitcoin references. That's really more on the consumer gaming GeForce side. Yeah. When we're working with HP and these AI workstations, it's really with the NVIDIA RTX professional GPUs. And these users have been on these platforms for a long, long time for all of these traditional kind of creative workflows. But again, this emergence of Gen AI and figuring out how to deploy this within your organization has this great new opportunity for workstations.
And as Nina pointed out in her presentation, this goes across really retail, manufacturing, entertainment, across all industries. The one interesting thing I found, if you have a company you're working with, it's not the traditional person you talk to in purchasing or IT as a reseller. They're going to have data scientists. More so, you're going to want to get up to a level, CFO, CEO, to solve an issue or drive an efficiency. But you'll be amazed how many data scientists companies have today. If you go to LinkedIn and do / data science, try it right now with the name of the company / data science, you'll see they have a list of data scientists. To Nina's point, this has been out there for a long time. Companies are doing it. And again, you're going to see a huge uptick in this across all industries in the next year. 80% of the folks going to Gen AI.
Yeah. Oscar had a question. I'm going to modify it slightly because I think it's more proficient this way, or better question this way. You talked about the RTX Professional Series. Can you explain a little bit the difference between the GeForce RTX series and the Professional RTX series, how they differ in terms of being able to execute the AI processes? Nina, you're muted.
Sound a lot better in mute.
That's all right.
GeForce RTX is our consumer gaming platform. So it only solely intended for consumer gaming type of workflows. That being said, a lot of those consumer gamers try to pull those over into their professional kind of line of work. GeForce GPUs are not ever ISV certified. So all of these software companies that we do extensive ISV certifications with, that's not on the GeForce side. NVIDIA RTX, previously branded Quadro, is our professional brand of GPUs. These are software supported. These are, they have an enterprise life cycle, enterprise warranty. This is really what you want to deploy. There's also more GPU memory available. On the GeForce side, there are GPU memory limitations. There are customers that do develop AI on GeForce RTX, but really we try to outline the benefits of professional GPUs, and really it's the same. You wouldn't deploy a bunch of Omen gaming laptops that you buy on Best Buy on Black Friday into your organization, and that same concept applies to the GPU as well.
It kind of just breaks down to a consumer product versus a commercial product.
Correct. Yeah.
It's something that DH has preached for years. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And on through our professional workstation lineup with HP, there's only actually on mobile, on next gen mobile, there's only professional options. There are no GeForce options available. We can't stop customers from putting GeForce GPUs in a desktop workstation because they can be configured aftermarket, but it's not going to be supported. So customers are kind of taking on their own risk there by putting those cards in the professional workstation.
Makes sense. Eric had a question along the lines of the differences between the commercial and consumer line. I've heard claims that both chip lines were going to merge. Is there any truth to that?
No.
Yeah, that it just doesn't make sense with exactly the explanation you just gave. It doesn't make sense that they would be doing that.
Nothing that I've ever heard.
Someone asked real quick, Spencer, if you could repeat the LinkedIn search process.
So LinkedIn // data science.
All right, sounds good. Tim wanted to know, and I don't think this is specific to AI, can GPUs enhance the rendering of Microsoft Remote Desktop on Microsoft Windows Server?
I don't know. That sounds like a question for ChatGPT.
Perplexity. I do Perplexity. We'll give them some free effort.
Speaking of questions for ChatGPT, I'll ask both of you, how many R's are in the word strawberry?
4.
She knows. Nina knows. I need to check if you're an AI or not. Hang on.
Three? Oh, goodness.
If you guys want to have some fun, just go ask ChatGPT how many R's are in the word strawberry and have a conversation. Just talk to it.
There we go. There's my to-do list for later.
Yep. I think that might be all of the questions that came in. Nina, Spencer, thank you so much for your guys' time today. This has been incredibly informative. If you guys have any final thoughts before we kind of sign off, I'll start with you, Spencer.
Thank you for your time. Please reach out to your D&H rep with any questions. Love to chat with you about our solutions, both hardware and our AI solutions with NVIDIA.
Nina?
Yep. No, appreciate your guys' times today. I know that this is like wild new concepts and trying to figure out, how this can help your customers and have a better understanding of kind of where the workstation fits into this play here. So Again, appreciate your time. I know that you guys are busy day after Labor Day, but we got some things accomplished today, hopefully.
Yep. And if you guys are watching this broadcast on demand, if you have any additional questions, please reach out to HP Specialist at dnh.com. There is the resources that are available on this webpage as well. If you take you to the DNH mini site, if you have any more questions there. This broadcast will be available on demand probably later this week. If you've missed any part of it, you want to rewatch it, or you just want to kind of watch it all in its entirety and re-see the PowerPoint deck, that'll be available that way. We do have a giveaway with this broadcast as well. The first 75 registrants that attended are eligible to receive a $50 Amex gift card. We will be announcing the winners of that probably later next week, so keep your eyes on your inbox for that. Speaking of webcasts and AI and myself and NVIDIA, how about you join us again, same time on Thursday? We'll be talking about the next gen of WebEx with AI enhanced features from NVIDIA as well. So we'll have more talk on the AI side on the web conference front with WebEx for that webcast. If you want more information on that, head on over to dnh.com/solutionslab. But with that being said, I'm going to kind of close things up for the night. I hope everyone has a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you guys later. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.